the Chancellor Rachel Reeves has announced that all pensioners with an income of £35,000 or less will now receive the winter fuel allowance. This takes the number of people eligible from 1.5 million people to 0.9 million people, a huge U-turn. The payments will be sent to all pensioners and then recovered from those who aren't eligible by HMRC. So this now means that around 75% of pensioners will be eligible, and I want to know, are you one of them? 0207 862 2222. How do you feel about this breaking news story? I mean, it is quite mind-bogglingly baffling, the whole thing, isn't it? To take this stand, which became so unpopular, and then to reverse it and now make the payment available to everyone, but some people will be made to return it. I mean, Sam McAlister, looking at this with your former Newsnight brain, which I know has only gone on to be even more finely honed, how does this strike you in terms of joined-up thinking?
Well, I mean, the Newsnight brain would absolutely say that this has been an absolute disaster from start to finish. And although, of course, you do have, in theory, a U-turn today, you know, one of your lovely producers has been explaining the nuance, and we had lots of questions.
Yeah.
And
yes, we did.
The complexity of, OK, you might receive it now, but maybe then you'll have to get it back, but HMRC will bring it. It's so stressful. Pensioners have had this taken away. They may get it back. Over a certain income, suddenly they've got HMRC coming after them. So the stress, I think, is high.
Because, and the whole point about giving it to everybody is that actually it's cheaper, usually, to give it to everybody rather than to actually have to chase down people and get money back. That was that's the whole point about a blanket anything, is that, in general, it's easier. It's easier for everybody.
And it saves money. Means testing is very, very expensive, isn't it?
And also, as Sam says, how about, there you are, 1 year you've got 29,000 and then, I don't know, maybe you've got money invested in something and all of a sudden the year after you've got 31,000 or what was it, 35?
35, yeah.
35. So suddenly you've got 36,000. I mean, is HMRC going to be that on it? And we know how the wheels of the HMRC turn very, very slowly.
OK, we can hear this from the Chancellor's own lips. So this is what Rachel Reeves had to say.
We've listened to people's concerns around the level of the mean test, and because of changes we've made and the stability we've brought back to the economy, we are able to increase that amount, and we will set out in the normal way in the budget how everything is funded. But no one should be in any doubt about my commitment to the fiscal rules to ensure that the sums always add up.
So, JJ, there she's saying no one should be in any doubt. First of all, they did an about turn. When they did it, they didn't make anything clear. So not a single viewer had the faintest idea whether they were in or out, whether they would or wouldn't get the payment. So it didn't do the job of reassuring anyone. All it did was the job of confusing everybody. Now we hear that provided your total pension adds up to less than 35,000, you will get the money. But actually, it's going to be paid to everyone, and some people will have to give it back. So now are we clear? Are we crystal clear on what's happening?
No, we're not crystal clear on this at all. It's as clear as mud. What they should have done is just given it to everyone and said, the public hate our decision. We're going to show the public that we care and we listen to them. Here, everyone who's a pensioner gets the cash. That's it, nice and simple. This is going to confuse people and it's going to make people think Labour don't know what they're doing. The Tories didn't know what they were doing, and now neither do Labour. Who are we going to turn to next?
And also, Sam, there's a big deal, isn't there, about kind of reversing an opinion. So when they made the initial pronouncement, we're going to take the winter fuel payment away from so many pensioners, it was a terrible smear on the Labour Party, and it happened
100%.
so soon after the election.
100%.
And so many people who'd voted Labour with high hopes and proper integrity and really thinking, right, you know, they keep talking about the working man and woman, all right, pensioners, some of them no longer working, but this is, you know, they're going to champion the people. Suddenly this was felt like the very first move they made, and it seemed as if their reputation was tarnished, and that this isn't going to do what they seem to hope it will do to get it back again.
Well, absolutely. It felt like it was the antithesis in terms of policy of what anyone who voted for Labour expected. And then to go to a shoddy U-turn that seems complicated, that we're already struggling with, seems a double whammy of messing it up and then even messing up the U-turn. Actually, it really doesn't reassure people.
And you could actually make it much easier for people who really are filthy rich to actually, you know, when you get the money for your heating, the winter fuel allowance, when it comes in, there should be a thing which says, if you would like to donate this to somebody who really needs it more, you know, please press this button and you won't get the money. You know, just give it back yourself.
But I don't know about donate it to somebody who really needs it. You know, either you've got it or you haven't.
Well, you know
got
what I
it.
mean.
And when
Donate it to somebody,
Refuse
but
it.
refuse it is what I'm saying. I suppose giving it back. Yeah.
but they're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
They're giving it to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning that some people's tax returns will be complicated,
Yeah.
some people won't quite know what to do with it or how to deal with it. And so it sounds as if that's quite expensive. I'm not surprised that the lines have lit up. If you were just hearing the news from me for the very first time, it may have taken you a couple of seconds to think, hang on, wait, am I now getting it? Am I not getting it? How does this apply to me? So the number's 0207 862 2222. And if it's just beginning to sink in, everyone's now going to get it. But if your total income is more than 35,000, they're going to want you to give it back. 3,000, they're going to want you to give it back. So let's talk to Nancy in South Yorkshire. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, you're right, Vanessa. You're
Yes.
right,
Are you going to get it now?
no, because I'm only I'm 59. But
Oh, you're not
the
even...
point being-
okay. You're not a pensioner.
No, but-
So how do you
No, I'm
feel
not.
about this, about what on earth is going on?
I think it's disgusting because it should all be means tested. Because I get universal credit, and it's means tested. So why isn't their pension means tested? And it's up to £35,000. How many pensioners have that kind of money? So it should all be means tested. I don't get why pensioners get it irrespective of anything. Why?
So you mean you're in the sort of group of people who feels that pensioners are being treated over generously? Is that how you feel?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And-
It's wrong.
And as
It's
far
wrong.
as you're concerned, Nancy, talk to me a little bit about the means testing and universal credit and what it's like to actually get the payment. Did you have to jump through some hoops to get it?
I had to jump through a lot of hoops, fill in a lot of forms, etc., etc. But it looks like these pensioners can just get it because they're over like 65, 66, and that's it. It's wrong. And there's a lot of pensioners who do have private pensions, and then they get the state pension. So why do they get this as well?
And
Wrong.
And you know, there was a huge outcry when it was announced that the winter fuel payment would be taken away from various pensions.
I was glad.
You were glad. Gosh. And do you think you stand kind of alone in this, Nancy, or do you have lots of friends and family, people that you know who feel the same as you?
Well, I've no idea because I don't have lots of friends and family that I talk to, but I just think there's probably a lot of people who are in my position who potentially feel the exact same. They should not get it. It should all be means tested.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much indeed for the call. Are you surprised, Sam, by Nancy's call, or do you think there are always a faction of people who feel as if pensioners have somehow got it good?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a faction of people, and Nancy's obviously entitled to a very strong opinion on that.
Yes.
I think one thing that is going to be problematic with this is enforcement. What happens to the people who don't pay back? Will it be criminal? Will there be a fine? So a whole new world of trouble, whether you're Nancy or someone who's just found out about this.
Yeah, and we have to remember this payment is £300. And I must say, you know, broadcasting all the way through all of this, as I've been doing, you know, for years, but for the last year since the Labour government came to power, I heard from so many pensioners saying, I was just on the cusp. I was the one on the edge. The cut-off point was me. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so difficult without the £300. It's really going to be incredibly hard. And also from so many pensioners who don't want to go into debt, understandably, and were scared to turn the heating on in case they just suddenly found their bills were too much. They didn't have the payment. They worried sick. You know, so genuine kind of hardship and distress over it, which I've heard from so many people. Let's talk to Derek in Northamptonshire. Hi, Derek. Thanks for ringing. What do you think?
Oh, hello, Vanessa. I think on the face of it, it's good news.
Right.
But then I would also think that there are probably people who are just over the threshold who might be a bit disappointed, which I'm rather sad to hear or perhaps discover.
Does it apply to you in any way, Derek? Does it affect you?
It would affect me to the benefit, yes.
So you'll now get the money. So
It sounds like I would.
Right.
I don't know the fullest details of it, but there might be more to it than what we've discovered so far.
How do you feel, Derek, about the different kind of ways in which your feelings might have been played upon in the last coming up to sort of 10 months or so? You're not getting it, you might get it, OK, you are getting it, you're just a human being. How has that uncertainty affected you, do you think?
Well, my initial thoughts on that are that the government obviously are rather aware of their loss in sort of popularity, shall we say, this is possibly an attempt to try and recover some of their lost support.
Right.
And it's been rather a long time, as you say, trying to discover what they might actually do. We heard some time ago there was going to be some change, but now at last we have, which I think is at last brought that feeling of uncertainty to an end.
Yeah, a bit of clarity, but living with uncertainty, and it's not at all your fault or responsibility, entirely the government's mismanagement, mishandling, or whatever you want to call it. That's you might say terribly unfair to have that inflicted on you, as well as anything else you're dealing with in your personal life.
Well, I don't know whether there's a suggestion that for the period when we did not get it, when we used to get it, should we be receiving compensation? But that might be looking a gift horse in the mouth.
All right, within minutes of this breaking news, a compensation claim is lodged by Derek in Northamptonshire, live on TV. Derek, thank you so much. What a great call. Good to speak to you. Wendy in Cheshire's on the line. Hi, Wendy. How does this affect you?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Vanessa. Hello, everybody. I am so delighted.
Good.
I've got to mute this telly. That the government have put the threshold up, because that was, it was a shock. I voted Labour, and the shock of having that thrust at you right almost immediately was very hard and very disappointing. So I'm happy the threshold's gone up, and it's gone up more than I thought it would. So, yeah. So I'm hoping everybody
and just to clarify, Wendy, this money,
yes.
£300,
yes.
it will make a notable difference to you. So that's how kind of delicate your budgeting is. Is that right?
Definitely,
yes.
100%.
Right.
I mean, and it was just such a shock for a Labour government to take away from needy people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yes, it will make a big difference.
Do you feel a little bit, I know you're pleased and quite rightly so, and now you can kind of relax. Yeah. That's brilliant news.
Yeah.
But do you feel a little bit as if your feelings have been played fast and loose with over the last few months?
I just lost a bit of faith, I think, because that's not a Labour government. So, yes, I've been up and down, thinking, what have I voted for? Yeah. Certainly not for that.
Wendy, so pleased that you're pleased, and thank you so much for ringing. Good, relax. Really pleased to speak to you. Let's go to Pauline in Leicestershire. Hi, Pauline.
Hello, Vanessa.
Oh, tell me what your response is.
Well, my response is the fact that, like thousands of pensioners, we've paid our dues. We've left school at 15 years ago. We've paid our dues, and I get so angry when you get this runaround with the fuel pension that was taken off without any justification whatsoever. And why is it only going to be paid to 75% of pensioners? The pensioners should get it regardless. I mean, how are they going to pay it back? Is it going to be taken out of tax again, like everything else?
It sounds like that might be exactly what happens, Pauline. We're not 100% sure yet, as ever. We don't get all the information. We just get the press release and the breaking news, and then we have to try to piece the story together ourselves, which doesn't help anyone. But it looks as if there are going to be ways of getting it back again. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Let's talk to Gay in Dorset. Hey, congratulations. What did you get today for the very first time, Gay?
I've got 3 weeks of my state pension today.
Wow.
For the
well
first
done.
time.
How, if you don't mind my asking, and I can tell you on the television you look very young indeed and very sprightly, but how long have you had to wait? How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 66 today, so I worked for almost 50 years.
And how do you feel about having to have to work all this time to 66 to get your first payment?
Well, my husband's got to work to 67, so he's got to go another 3 years. So it's just, when they took this winter fuel away last year, I thought I would be getting it this year, and of course they took it away. So I am pleased that it's put back, because I've suffer with really bad osteoarthritis, which affects, the cold affects me I have to have the heater on, and we didn't put it on as much last year, because we don't want our bills to be so high. It's bad enough with the increases all the time.
Yes. Yes, and so now at least you've got the first few payments, you're going to get the winter fuel payment, you can turn on the heating and then just wait for your husband to have to stop working another however many, three more years. Gay, it's really good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, I just think the thing is you hear about the winter fuel payment. It becomes a kind of phrase that people use, that journalists use, you see it as a headline. But when you actually speak to people who thought they weren't going to get it and really knew, Gay suffers from osteoarthritis. She was going to be cold and she can't be cold because it really worsens her symptoms and suffering and everything else. It suddenly brings the whole thing so acutely to life.
Yeah.
You realise how much pain, confusion a government can inflict on innocent people.
Totally. I mean, it's a life or death situation for some people.
Yeah.
We forget that £300, it's a lot of money to most people in this country, and life and death.
I wonder if this decision is going to get Labour their support back. I don't think it is going to. It's great for all the people who are calling in saying that it's made a difference to them, but I think Labour have done too much damage already.
Let's talk to Michael. Michael's on the line in Glamorgan. Hello, Michael. Thanks for ringing. How does this apply to you today?
Well, I think I will definitely qualify for it because I don't get anywhere near £35,000.
Right.
I'm 76 years of age. I've worked all my life, left school at 15, and worked right up until I was 65. I was fortunate enough never to need to claim the dole. I was employed all my life.
Yeah.
But I think taking that £300 away last year was despicable for a Labour government to work to try and to do that and to punish people. And the thing is, there are thousands of pensioners exactly like myself, worked all their life, and they don't qualify for pension credits, housing, etc. So you can't win. I paid my dues, and as I say, it's just really frustrating.
Let me just ask you one question, Michael. You said you were terribly disappointed in a Labour government doing this. Have they, do you think, by reversing it, managed to get back any of their reputation or faith from the voters, or do you think it is too late, really, to restore their reputation by doing this?
No, I don't think they've endeared themselves to anybody. Like, I live, say, in Glamorgan.
Yeah.
And we've always had a Labour MP, and the amount of people I see when I'm out and about, I've said quite openly, I will never vote Labour again.
Wow. Gosh, well, you said it, Michael. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the call. Thank you.